Hello, everyone. Glad to have you on this show. Thank you for staying put. Congratulations on joining me. This is our Making a Difference with Sandra. Welcome to today's show, live show. And congratulations on your journey to Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh. I am so excited having you on this show and on this journey with me. We can become that change agent we are all called to be. I need your support to subscribe, and share this page if you're being impacted or inspired by this live show. You can search. I have a book I just authored, and you can search it on Amazon or Jumia. The title of the book is Can Anything Hold You Back? This year, much more than ever before, we have to come up with a mindset that nothing should keep us back from becoming who we are called to be. We can become our best version. This book was written to encourage young men, youths, and women to live a life of difference. And on this show, Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh, we train, we teach, we mentor, and we coach people all around and how they can become better versions of themselves in areas of their finances, business, career-wise, and relationship. We learn from others people's stories and life experience so we can ride on the experience to avoid the pitfalls they fell into so we can get to our goals faster than we would have gotten and become better versions of ourselves. Making a difference includes being financially okay, doing great on all fronts of life, business wise, spiritually, physically, mentally, and being a stable person. And today on this show, we have a special guest. Her name is Hanna. I met with her during my certification at the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team certification we had in Florida sometime in March. Hanna D. Bauer ignites an evolution of organization excellence. A specialty is in improving organization impact and fulfilling human potential. The result, resilience for your workforce and competitive market positioning. As speaking, training, and coaching and consulting objectives brings awareness of the system of your organization for results driven learning to speak the heart of your strategy. As the CEO of Atonomics Enterprise, she serves leaders, corporations, organizations, and she bridges the gap of where they are and where they want to be in the midst of turbulence. Entrepreneur and nonprofit endeavors have taken her to the local, state, national levels of leadership. Her passion for innovation, impact, and transformation is what drew her to serve and be elected as chairs of various boards of directors, including her present office as the chair of SER Familiar Incorporated. And today we have her on this show. She'll be telling us her life story, how she overcame and what she overcome, her greatest achievement and challenges she faced whilst trying to thrive to becoming the best version of herself. And she's here right now. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Sandra.
Yeah, and the floor is all yours. My audience would like to know you. They'd like to meet with you. You just tell us what you do, who you are, and how we met, maybe in a short, and then we'll go into the questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, on top of what Sandra has just talked about, a little bit about my story, most importantly, a mother of five. So I have the range between 1 year old all the way to 17 years old. So I pretty much cover all the bases. But as far as the development and being an entrepreneur, well, I just love helping people. And just like our mentor, where Sandra and I met, well, we are people of value that value others and are looking to add value every day with what we do. And that's in a nutshell what I do. I look at ways that I can add value to other people and their organizations and helping them accomplish their mission and their vision.
Yeah, there was a story. Probably will ask you, what informed you to, sometimes in life you pick a particular career and say,
Mhm.
this is what you want to do. What informed you? Did your parents help you in making a choice, or you just decided this is what you want to do?
Well, I think a lot of times I answer that with like my moves have been at the beginning part of my life more of desperation than inspiration. As a child, going through, and you've heard the story, that's how we met, going through a lot of medical obstacles, financial obstacles, being an immigrant here in the United States, and trying to find myself really in how can I serve with having a passion inside of wanting to serve others. It drew me a lot to the social sciences. So when I went to Georgia State University and got my degree in psychology, but that really started my journey into what the areas of communication, team dynamics, team leadership, in the ways that we can help set up environments that really help people win.
Oh, awesome.
Mhm.
Making people stand out and becoming a person of difference. That's awesome. I want to
Yeah.
find out, have you managed your career with your family?
Oh, well, it's an every day is very dynamic. So the first part of managing has been very being flexible and adapting, and really being having a lot of grace with myself. I think initially when I was the first mom, I wanted to be everything just looking perfectionist and trying to have everything structured, and looking at ways that I fit in stuff, and then balancing out with what was being required of me, then making sure that now their needs were being met. And it got to a point where I, of course, like most of us, can't do it all. And when I became really extending grace to myself and accepting that I am enough as a mom, doing my best and being flexible and having mercy with me and with the kids, it really made it all fun. So every day is finding a way, well, how can, using the same thing, how can I add value to them? How can I serve my kids better, especially in the next stage where they're going in as teenagers?
That's awesome. And I want to find out, along the line, what businesses did you engage in, and how successful were you in all the business fronts you had whilst growing and
Yeah.
striving to becoming the best versions of yourself?
Yeah, so I started when I first started working, and I did internships and residencies. I started getting a lot of work in the nonprofit organizations. So with that, I've been able to launch a couple of nonprofits, including a crisis pregnancy center. It was a women's clinic here in Ackworth, and in with that and additional chapters of other organizations too, I started getting a lot of the experience of the launching process of what needed to happen as far as board of directors, getting the funding in place and the sustainability. Outside of that, in service with the nonprofits, my background is in publishing and manufacturing. So I was for about 20 years a publisher K through 12 in dealing with the education, it's serving the markets with test taking. So all the steps from authorships, proofreading, editing, but also the manufacturing side. So I got to learn also the whole print marketing, the digital marketing. So we launched off different businesses from that would serve both the digital adaptive learning and print.
Was this your business or you were working for someone?
No, that was my business.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
awesome. And how long have you been doing the business?
Well, I did that for about almost 20 years.
Are you still
And
doing it?
no, now I'm doing more of the development, the training, coaching, speaking. So now I help other organizations because I learned a lot. Again, from when you start doing things and when you're in a business owner in the changing market all the time is figuring out, well, how do I evolve? How do I serve my clients, the internal clients and the external clients? And in figuring that out, because our market went through a big disruption, the publishing market back in 2008, 2010, when the start of the ebooks came, it disrupted. It's kind of like the disruption we saw with the taxis, with Uber. Same thing, we see the disruption with Amazon and the shopping, the retail. So in figuring that out, I had to become better because if I was to make my company and my team be able to succeed. So with that, I was very blessed in that not only were we able to evolve, but I got to be a leader in the industry. So I was able to lead in the educational publishing market for about 2 to 3 years out of DC. And from that, I started learning how to help other teams and be able to help other business owners that were also navigating the ambiguity and the market changes to be able to form those teams that were going to help them be resilient. And that's what I do now. It's what I love. It's my passion is to help other people do this with their teams.
Yeah, I appreciate your story because you moved from something else, and that's what business is all about. you count your cost and move on to something, more relevant, something you find passion on. Yes, you could be doing a business. And then that's why I tell people, as entrepreneurs, as the business grow, you either diversify or you move in. You count in your cost and move to something more profiting rather than staying on a particular business and, you get overwhelmed and you lose totally. I had a business like that some time ago. I was running a bakery. I had the gas explosion and I needed to move on because I had one of my staff that had about 20 to 30% burn. And basically, because that person had a burn, I couldn't open the business again. I couldn't go to the business outfits to say, okay, I want to run the business because the person was in the hospital. Because I could consider that if it was my child, would I
Mm.
be running my business? I probably would be by the bedside of my child. So I had to shut my business for a while. And when
Mhm.
I go back, the fear of continuing to bake bread, and because I'd experienced a gas explosion, I knew what it is. I
Yeah.
had to count in my costs and ask myself, do I want to continue doing this business or do I want to move to something else?
Yeah.
So what I did was like, okay, I counted my cost, looked for someone to come buy all I had, and it was a good move for me. So I had to, transit from being a bakery into a laundry. I had a laundry shop because I knew that as a laundry, I do not need so much capital to start up. What I need is just having all the necessary equipment. And once I have it, you can get anyone to do it. You can learn it. And I actually went to look for someone to mentor me. And that was why I moved in. So, like what you said now, you were doing printing. And
Yeah.
when, Amazon and some other businesses came, and there was a shaking in the market, you had to diversify, moved from printing into something you had passion. And that's what you're doing presently. And I'm sure that's the way we met because
Yeah.
yeah, that's how we met. And there was a story you said at the John Maxwell that treated me. You were called upstage to give your testimony. And that
Hmm.
was what encouraged me. And I said, oh, I'm going to call you for one of my live shows. Can you tell us, in summary, what that experience was for you?
Absolutely. And in line with what we're saying is one of the beautiful parts, really, that what we get to do with businesses is provide services that people need. In my case, I needed innovation, right? And so with the medical community, that's what they did for me. I suffered from a heart disease since the age of 4 that basically kept me bedbound
Wow.
till I was 16. Not only that, it was bedbound, but it was it was almost like the living dead, right? I wasn't even able to go to school at times because they couldn't take the liability. And even as a fact, that a whole year, they wouldn't let me even be in the classroom because the liability was too high due to the heart attacks I would experience. So it was and then I didn't get to share this part because it's a very short at the
Yeah.
Maxwell, but what it was through faith and in love, really, that the love that helped to sustain me through this time. The love, and particularly the love of my grandmother, who would be with me every single day, and from my parents and my mom, seeing her fight for me, advocating on my behalf, like, okay, what else can we do, what else can we do, and really the faith that when a lot of doors were closing, not seeing them as doors were closing, but okay, what is it that God's telling us to do in this opportunity, which is what happened when I had experienced my second heart attack and I was declared dead. Now, I was 10 years old. And of course, my parents seeing that, all kinds of thoughts. I was like any parent, right? Like all this guilt feelings, like we should have done, what else could we have done? Is there anything else that we can do? But in God's mercy, He brought me back. And that was what really launched them into like taking the risk. Let's risk everything and go to a place that where it's not guaranteed, but at least we're going to have a chance at life, which is what they were told. I was given even less than 6 months to live, and we came here to the United States, not knowing the language, not having any family, no financial means, and it was amazing how God opened the door for us to have the visa within 6 months, which at that time was crazy. But coming here to Atlanta, and from that point on, really a series of, again, from the doctors being completely surprised that I was even alive, the solution at the time was a heart transplant. But even with a heart transplant, that would only give me 10 more years. At that point, the most I would have, assuming that everything went well, I would have lived until I was 22. Or the 20, no more. But the doctors always believed that my muscle was strong. So even with everything, because the fact that I was still alive, they said your muscle's strong. It was just an electrical problem, and there was no cure. There was no research in children and heart, because children don't get heart disease, right? I mean, it's an adult problem. So the research was very minimal, and in any heart problems. So they used me a lot for the research and researching drugs, and actually I went through the heart cath, I went through an open heart. All of those surgeries failed. Like I'm going through the pain, the constant heart attacks, my heart not working, and now scars and interventions and a lot of things where there was just no hope, right? We're just holding on to one more day, until this opportunity came in 1992 to be part of a high risk but never been done surgery. And that's where the heart ablation came up. And it was to use, and this was again where technology, intervention, it wasn't like a new thing. It was catheterizing the heart, which is something that had been done, but in other things, right? When people could get their fingers cut off or something, to catheterize it. But it was new in the sense that you try utilizing that with the heart. The danger being that if you burn too much, well, your heart won't work, because that's what happens with that part. But this is the cool thing about business innovation, that it's not always creating a new thing, but perhaps something that you have already in your hands, but using it in a different way. And that's what happened with me. They used something that was already there in the medical community, but they used it in a different way, and it transformed not just my life, but now the life of many thousands of kids here in not only in the state of Georgia, but from what I learned, it's been already over 3,000 children that have experienced this life-saving surgery. Yes, and it saved their lives. So you think about that, what is having, somebody that's willing to go through the risk, but also the business, right? The doctors, the nurses, the not giving up and utilizing, again, what do we have? Can we use in a different way? And putting that out there. And yeah, I mean, the risks were high, right? I mean, in this case, I could have died. There were all different things.
And you could have been exposed to all the complications.
Oh, yeah.
Because now they're trying several drugs in you.
And I was. And that's where God's mercy also comes in, because I was told that I was not going to be able to learn. Remember, I wasn't even able to go to school. So I lived a lot, like for 5 years. I lived in the ICU, CCU here at the time was called Eggleston Hospital, now it's Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So for a period of 5 years during your formative years, my middle school, elementary school, middle school, beginning of high school, in not able to learn, and then being told, because if your heart's not beating, if it's not beating well, you're not getting oxygen to the brain. Yeah. So my parents were constantly told that I was going to have some sort of mental delay. It made sense. Plus, don't forget, I'm not able to go to school and be learning things because I'm stuck to a bed, just not able to move, because any movement will make my heart go too fast. So going from that to then leading a publishing company and to be elected to lead education in the United States for K through 12, every child, kindergarten through 12, it's not even because I'm that smart. It's because God is that good.
Wow. Did you ever go back to school to say you want to catch up or something?
Oh, well, yes, I had to catch up. I still held myself accountable to everything. So that's where a lot of my books came from, learning one by one, and just going forward. I still took AP classes. When I went back to school, took the dreaded AP calculus, which I did not. I think at that point I wanted to have a hard time.
I was a lover of math, so I know what it is.
Yeah, but no, I went to the university, and thanks to the Lord, no mental, well, at least learning disabilities. I love to learn, and not just learning, but helping other people to learn. And again, that's how good God's grace is. in
Awesome.
being through all of this.
Awesome. It shows that, where men fail and where men cannot go further, that's where God starts. Your story was intriguing. And I'm sure you didn't say this part of the story yet, did John Maxwell? You didn't say all this.
No, I didn't. So you
No,
got an exclusive. You got a first time view of this.
oh, I was actually even looking forward to the other story. That was the reason I called you up. But this is intriguing because after being all through all this, you see, went back to study. This shows discipline and a lot of intentionality. Because a lot of people probably would have given up, throwing in the towels, give up. And a lot of times you find that why people pass on to the other side of eternity is because they cannot go on. They are tired of all the stress and all the push and all the drugs and injection and everything, and you were still strong, still trying to try to, to leave. It's so shocking. I'm so, no,
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, of course, as far as hopeless, and that's one of the things I do talk about so much of the story. Had it not been for love, um, what's the purpose? Because even for me, just to be alive one day, which it is for all of us, but I think for us growing up as a child is, if we are okay today, if we go through today without the heart going fast, or you being able to, I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom by myself. I couldn't even do those things for years without my heart being in a critical condition. So for me, a win was to be able to have a normal day. So forget anything else, like no college or university, high school was really not out there in the priority, because that wasn't
can
the
be a priority. Surviving was most of the priority.
exactly. But that was the deal, right? Because if
Hmm.
you think about it, if I only focus on surviving today, what's going to happen if I do get my dream, which was to have a tomorrow? So even though as a child looking at that, and I know we all get into that, because that wasn't I mean, it was very hard, but I would have a lot of harder things come into my adult life. And I had to keep also that in my mind, that although yes, we're surviving for today, but what action must I do today, even in my survival, to give me a hope for a better tomorrow? And that went with learning, that went with connecting, that went with my faith life, that went with the generosity. How can I be generous today? How can I be loving today? How can I do something better for somebody else today, even in the condition where I was?
Yeah, and that's what the Maxwell leadership trains. It tells you when you are in trouble, that's when you should show love. And
Mhm.
sometimes you go through all this process and all these challenges because God wants you to be a teacher, to mentor somebody in that field. And a lot of times we should value the process and the process we go through.
Mhm.
I was telling a story to someone. I say it's just like you being in a class. If you don't pass the class, you don't get promoted. God wouldn't move you to the next level until he thinks you're capable to move to the next level. And that's what your story is all about. You had someone, you had your grandmother showing you love. You
Mhm.
had somebody, sticking and taking the risk to go all the way for you to survive and to live. And you went through all this trauma growing up and
Mhm.
going back to school maybe when it was, past your age.
Mhm.
High school students will say between 17 and 18, you're in high school. You get into college between 18 and 22, and I'm sure maybe much later you had to go back to school. It takes discipline, it takes intentionality, it takes a
Yeah,
lot of hard work.
I actually stayed on track with everybody, amazingly.
Now,
So
because you
yeah,
catch up, you caught up.
yeah, I caught up. So like I said, even I took AP classes and I did summer courses. So I graduated with my class on time. I not only did that, but that's where my leadership experience started coming in. Because once I got my, you can say, hey, you're okay. You're not gonna die today. At least not from this, not from the heart. I started serving, because that was the thing. It's like, and that's where I fell in love so much with service, because my parents were immigrants here. So if my dad had to work, my mom had my little brother and my little sister. They were young, they were toddlers, and they weren't allowed to go into the hospital. So there were many days in the hospital that I had no family, that I had nobody with me, going through a very severe heart painful. It's a very painful disease. But the ones that were there were the volunteers. I would have volunteers that would come in, and they would treat me like a person. They would play a game. They would read me books, and that made such an impression in me that when I was 16 and I got out of the hospital and all that, I wanted to do the same thing. So I started volunteering and volunteering and volunteering, and that's what got me through, or like to this, to serve and then to be a leader. I actually became the lieutenant governor for the district for my Interact Club in high school. I also founded the Spanish speaking club in high school. And then same thing in Georgia State University, I got to serve as senator, the president of the Senate, over 30,000 student university. And not just that, but got to serve in the budget committees for the university, do all these things and right on track with everybody else. But that came out of a heart of service because I saw people also serve, especially in a time when I was in so much need.
Now that was awesome. You get back what you received, and so much love is all encompassing. Showing love to anyone could give the person another chance to leave. And that was what happened to you. You had people come in to check on you, stay by your bedside, read stories to you, just to ensure that you leave.
Yeah.
How did you get them? Was it the hospital that sent them to you?
Yeah.
How did they come?
Yeah, so volunteer. There's always opportunities to volunteer at the hospital. And actually, I got the pleasure to volunteer too later on. I came back as a volunteer, and I got to volunteer in the cancer floor with kids that were going through cancer. Again, it wasn't hard, but I could relate to what they were going through. But there's always opportunities to do so through the different services.
How did you go through life? Getting to get married, getting your own children. Weren't you scared that what you went through while as a teenager would come back again?
Of course. Every single one. Every single one is a testimony of faith. And there were a lot of decisions I had to make, even with my latest one, because, and a person that hasn't experienced any heart problems, pregnancy can cause things like hypertension, like the high blood pressure and heart problems, diabetes, things like that on a regular person that hasn't had the history that I did. Well, on me, a pregnancy was super always high risk. And let's just say I was not recommended to go through with the pregnancy.
But you took a risk.
I did, because God is the one who opens and closes the womb. So I truly believe that, and out of that, and it's been amazing. My children, like I said, each one of them is a miracle.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And 5 of them.
Yeah.
5 C-sections.
You didn't even stop at 2 or 3.
5 C-sections.
Oh my God. Were they normal or CS?
Yeah, they were all C-sections. 5 C-sections, each one of them.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I said it wasn't like I was trying to go for a record or anything like that. But, it's...
You took a risk because for such a person who is so delicate, you've been through heart problem, you shouldn't go more than 1 or 2.
Correct. No, that's logically what should happen.
But the doctors were not scared to receive you in the hospital when you come every time with your baby?
Yes, they were.
They were?
Yes.
And I'm sure they'll probably tell your husband to do some signing of papers just in case you don't make it.
Yes, every time.
Oh my God. I wouldn't call you Hanna again. I'll call you a risk taker. That's your name. Oh my God. And your husband allowed you to go through all this? Did he know about your story before you got into this?
Yeah, he did. So there was, different things, but God works everything out, and each one of them has been a lesson for me. And all of those lessons with each one of my children, and even with who I see them becoming today, I incorporate that with the way I serve people too. So I see God's faithfulness in each one. And
God certainly has a purpose for you.
Yeah, and he does. So, and I see them.
No, a lot of people just want heart disease, they are gone. Or they become, vegetable, they're not useful any longer. They lose a part of their brain, or they're not able to do anything in life again because they've been through several heart issues. You were not only having heart issues, several drugs and medicine were tried on you, like a research experiments. You
Yeah.
went through all these, and you had five miracle babies. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
But and this is the thing. I think one is, yeah, definitely faith, right? I mean, and I'm not
Oh,
saying
faith in
everybody.
God. There must be a God factor. It
Yeah.
couldn't have been you.
No.
It couldn't have been
No.
you.
And the other part is decision, right? Because I mean, there have been a lot of low points. I mean, I can't say my heart disease was the only hard thing. I mean, even just through everything that people have gone through in this past couple of years, the pandemic hit everybody in a different way,
Yeah.
and different crises and different situations. So like I said, as I even I wish I could say only the hard problem was the kind of like the worst thing that happened to me. But like every single one of them has been a learning opportunity. As a business owner, I've also experienced that, because I had to come to a point where I had to be okay with failure as long as I learned. And that was a tough lesson to learn. It was a tough lesson to really like going into the service. I got a very expensive education in business, not from a school, but from the mistakes we made in the products or services, marketing, and even the way that I even viewed my team at one time. So all of these opportunities, and I do see that is the desire to want to continue to serve, which was always there, but also the learning aspect and learning through very rough situations, which is where the resilience has come in, and where I'm able to then help not only other entrepreneurs or business owners, but in times where has been very economically draining, to really have reignite. And that's why I put there the reignite and the resilience aspect, and really continue to produce the innovation that we're called to do. Just like I'm a result of innovation with my heart, there's a lot of people still waiting for the innovations that your businesses, your products, your training can bring. Because for me, I was in a wait mode. Other people needed to do all this work so that I can have a chance at life. In just the same way, other people right now are waiting for you to
Yeah,
be
sure.
able to have this chance at life,
Yeah.
even in words. So that's something that God has given me, and I've learned that through business.
Your testimony, I would call it a testimony. It's not just a story. Can only be God, sincerely. And this shows that, love conquers everything. Where
Yes.
there is love, things that are dying, rejuvenates, come back to life. Because you
Yes.
had so much of love, so much of great ambience and environments for a dying soul to live. Just like you gave all your testimony, your parents were not there because they have tried all they know how to do, and probably they're giving up already. And you
Yeah.
have a grandma who could say, okay, I'll take no risk. It shows that, you had somebody who could stake herself for you. I
Hmm.
really appreciate your story, and it's very shocking to me, and encouraged, because I tell people, sometimes you go through stuffs in life, not just because of you, because God wants you to be a testimony. God wants you to come up there so that all those that are coming behind you, you can help them to come up too. And I'll tell people that normally when you go through a process in life, the moment you give in and throw in the towel, you would always leave to go back to that class again. There is no way God will move you to the next level. And so just the way you do in school, when you fail a particular course, you have to go back to school to take the course in order for you to be able to graduate. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's how it is with God. And a lot of times I've made up my mind and I tell God, give me the grace to go through my process. I don't want to run from it, because it says when you run away from your process, you will live to fight that battles again. And you don't want to fight battles when you don't have strength again in you. So,
No.
like now, I want to fight all my battles now that I'm so strong and I have strength to do it. All I ask God at this time is give me strength to go through my battles, go through my process, because the process is not just for me, it's for all those coming behind me. So I've got to learn, I've got to know what God wants me to learn and to be at the other side. And I tell people, for us to be living after COVID and still being alive at this side of eternity, there is a purpose for everyone. And I do not take it for granted. So And I know with God, there are no chances with God.
Mhm.
There are always a reason why God brings people together.
Mhm.
We sat on the same table during our IMC. I probably wouldn't have met you, even if I had heard your story. I wouldn't have been in close relationship with you to say I want to invite you for a live show. But because I knew that it called you upstage, it's not everybody. We were close to 6,000. How many were we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We were close to
Yeah.
6,000, over 165 languages,
Yes.
and you were called upstage. I wasn't called. So there must be something that made you stood out for them to have said, okay, you come to give your testimony. When I heard your story, that was what got me thrilled. And I said, it's a story that people need to, hear over and over again. That you don't give in, no matter what the condition is, even if it's a dying condition,
Mhm.
even if the doctors and everyone around you has written, as made a, sometimes people write you off
They
that you're
do.
not fit to leave. Sometimes people will just inject you, and so she's not fit to leave. While go through all this pain and all these hassles just to make sure she leaves.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So taking a
Well,
risk.
meaning people. I mean, loving people will do that. I mean, and it because
Yeah, it was
again,
love. That was I said. Love conquers everything. Love stands out. Love is all encompassing.
mhm.
Anywhere you show love, even for a child who is, deviant, a child that is not doing well academically, a
Mhm.
child that is following bad friends in school, once you show them love, love conquers everything. Love is
Yes.
a strong force from God,
Yeah.
and that's why it is said the love that God gave for us, it's a love that we need to extend to others. You
Yeah.
understand? And when you show love to others, even a dying plant will live,
Mm-hmm.
let alone a dying animal and a dying person. Love is the strongest of all. And your story thrilled me, and want to find out. You've said all because I wanted to ask you what were your biggest challenges and what were your greatest achievements. you know, going through life itself is a great achievement for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being on bed for 6 years of your life, not being in school, and still coming out and going back to school, still studying and becoming a printer. Now you're also impacting lives. You have done well, and I want to say God will continually strengthen you, and the purpose for which He has kept you, He would fulfill. Sincerely,
Thank you.
your story is really intriguing for me, and that's why I said I'm shaking. It can only be God. It can only be God.
No, it only is God. But that's the thing about God is that out of all of this, He chooses us to partner with Him, and that is the amazing thing that we have as an opportunity through our organizations, nonprofits and for profit. Is that that's a way that we express love for what He has given us and be in partnership with Him to accomplish those things that will serve others and will help others achieve what they're going to do, no matter what it is. No matter if you have a cleaning service, no matter if you have a laundry service, a cooking service, a printer, you're a teacher. That's where the love comes in. It's a part, an expression of the love, and
Yeah.
that's the opportunity is expand to all of us to be able to do that. And that's one of the things that caught my attention even this week is what I heard in one of them in the book by John Maxwell, Today Matters. And one of the things that he said is to trade your work for God for a walk with God. And I see that in the walking with Him is the immense opportunity
Can you say that again? A walk with God
to trade our work for God, trade it
and
for a walk with
with,
uh-huh.
yeah.
We walk with God, and that's a chance, right, that we have with each other. If He's inviting us to walk with Him, we walk with each other too. Of course, we have this extension, and that's what we get to do as business owners, as organizations. We get to collaborate, we get to work with one another, and have this unified expression of love through what we do that
Yeah.
serves humanity, that serves other people to be better, to serve other people to meet the need. It doesn't have to be necessarily like with my case, like, where I needed a heart surgery, but just as much a woman that needs childcare so she can go to work. Like everything, every service that we provide, be given in love, changes lives. it impacts lives. And that's something that I would like to call upon everyone to really, whatever it is that you do, right? Do it with excellence, and do it with love, and do it as a partnership with
Yeah.
God and with each other. And that's why we're here, right? I mean, we're partnering with one another. We're talking, you talk to a group of people, I talk to a group of people, but we get that opportunity to come together and talk about what we love. And we love to serve. We serve through our services, through our
That's the
organizations.
word that says we are a people of value, adding value to people. And that should be a point where everyone who comes across you, who come close to you, leave them better than you met them. That's my logo. Leave them better. Let it be that, oh, I met someone who transformed me, who said something. You understand? Let's be a people of, difference, making difference in our world, impacting our world. If
Mhm.
all of us, just like John Maxwell said, if you teach someone how to fish rather than give them fish, before you know it will become an army of fishermen. So the same way, when we teach and extend love to people,
Yes.
we become an army of lovers, showing love everywhere. We
Yeah.
have a good environment, and people can try, people can do well. It's been so great talking to you. I've extended my time. Normally, it was supposed to be 30 to 35 minutes. It was a great time having you on this show. I want to thank you, and for those logging in here and there, perhaps you missed this show. Please go back again to watch it. It's not a show to watch once and discard, but something to go over and over again to show that love to a dying neighbor, a dying a dying friend, a friend not doing well. You can encourage, your love can encourage somebody to come back to life. I want
Mhm.
to thank you for staying put. If this is your first time on this channel, Making a Difference with Sandra Ukoh, please kindly like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can often get more update from me. And if this has been inspiring to you, share with friends and people in your world, your network, so that they can also get impacted. Thank you so much, Hannah.
You.
And love to your family. Do have a nice day.
Have a
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.